Hey guys, RJ Roger, Amoral Minds. And what we're going to talk about today is a theory from my book, The Don 36 Rules of the Bosses. But specifically for the purpose of this show, we're going to focus on the opening section, the five epics of the bosses. Now, we've already discussed Cooking Pot and Made, but for this show, we're going to specifically focus on Stage 4, Red Pepper. This is the stage that follows once power has been attained. All right. So, what is Red Pepper? Red Pepper is a test of perseverance. All right. It arrives only after power has been attained. There's no other time in your life that you can be in a red pepper predicament unless you are in a position of power. All right. This time of power is when everything you've gained, all of your power, all of your influence and wealth and reach, it's in jeopardy. All your gains could all go away. All right. That's red pepper. Red pepper is a problem state. It is problems that are unrelatable to the common man. These are not problems that most people ever experience because very few people ever make it into a position of power. So a person who's having red pepper problems, he doesn't have many phone calls to make. He can't even talk to the average guy around him because they can't relate to the type of troubles that he's having. All right. So these are unrelatable problems. They're unrelatable to the common man. Now, cooking pot, red pepper. I don't want those two to be confused by anyone. The only thing that's similar between cooking pot and red pepper is that they are both problem states. These are tough time periods in people's lives. Cooking pot, it's a troubled state. Makes you feel like you don't even want to live. Red pepper, it's a troubled state. Makes you feel like you don't even want to live. But they're different type of problems. Cooking pot is problems that are unrelated to power. All right. There's no power in cooking pot. So the problems that you're dealing with could be problems like poverty, lack of resources. But these are not, don't give yourself too much credit when you're in cooking pot. You feel like you have a lot of problems, but you have no ability to control anything, to influence anything, to change anything at all. You're powerless. You're just barely existing when in the cooking pot. So cooking pot is a build from state. You build from the cooking pot. But red pepper is a fall from state. Red pepper is power problems. These are problems that relate to power. So that's a good distinction. Cooking pot is unrelated to power. Red pepper relates to power. Problems, but far different type of problems. Red pepper is a pass or fail state. You either pass this test of perseverance, all right? And if you pass it, you become stronger, more powerful. You're nearing a state of being bulletproof. You just went through a very trying time, a difficult time. When you're in a red pepper problem, everything you worked for, fought for, gave 20 hours a day working to get there, it's all in jeopardy. So some people pass this test and they become stronger. And some powerful people fail this test and they face complete ruin. So a good example of this is Jay-Z and Damon Dash. It's a great example, in my opinion. Jay-Z and Damon Dash are similar in a lot of ways. They're culturally similar, they're ethnically similar. They have a very similar background. They are both cooking pot power. They came from nothing, self made, self taught, built themselves up from the cooking pot. All right. They started Roc-a-Fella Records, one of the biggest independent music labels at a time. Rocawear fashion, one of the biggest urban fashion lines in the country at the time. They launched the career of Kanye West, who went on to be worth billions of dollars with his Yeezy brand. But then they split. There was problems, and they split. And that's the test that they both faced right there. They amassed fortune, fame, respectability together. A lot of times you find out what the problem was in the partnership when both people go separate ways. And the reason being is one of them will usually succeed beyond the other. So, and the other person, it doesn't work out so great for. And that's typically where the problem was at. Jay-Z. Jay-Z, as we know, when he left Roc-a-Fella, broke off from Damon Dash, he starts Roc Nation. Roc Nation, one of the biggest artist management companies in the country. Most of the biggest performers in this country are signed with Roc Nation. Tidal, he starts Tidal, sells Tidal to Jack Dorsey for $300 million. Invested big into the liquor business. At one point, he owned 100% of Ace of Spades. Uber, he invested into Uber when Uber was just a pebble, when people didn't even know what Uber was. Now Jay-Z maintains sizable holdings. Some estimates have it at being worth somewhere between $75 and $100 million of holdings in Uber, right? And as we know, he rose to become the first billionaire hip-hop artist ever. Billionaire status on the Forbes list. Now Dame Dash, completely different reality for Dame Dash. Dame Dash went into financial ruin. His homes foreclosed, cars repossessed. Every business that Dame Dash has started since discontinuing working with Jay-Z has either went nowhere or it failed completely. Major tax problems, owes the IRS millions of dollars, owes the state of New York millions of dollars, past due child support, was arrested for child support problems, and got down to a point that he was borrowing money from friends and family just to survive. And as of today, Damon is doing what most people do when they fall from grace. He's doing small independent projects, and essentially what he's just trying to do is climb his way back to the top. So the big question would be why? Why and how does this happen? How does two people from the same place who have accomplished great success working together, why does one seemingly go so far and do so well, and one completely falls off and loses everything? How does it happen? In a former show, I talked about the theory of cooking pot and made and the various differences between them both. One of the problems that you find in cooking pot power, a guy who has risen to a very high place, but formed it based on his own strength, his own knowledge, his own strategies. He becomes very hardwired in his abilities, in his strategies. He believes that the way I always succeeded, I have won doing it this way time and time and time again. So they relax themselves in their old ways of doing things, but it doesn't work. When you get to the place of boss, I already explained this. Boss is a place that only few men go. When you reach that type of power, the power of being the boss, the highest ranking of society, when you have money that you can never spend, access that people can't even imagine, the problems that exist there, these are not the type of problems that exist in the made stage. Those problems don't exist in the cooking pot. You have no knowledge. You are in unrecognized territory when you are in red pepper. There's two types of people who get into that red pepper. You have the people like Jay-Z. They get there and they're smart enough. They listened enough. They became informed enough on their rise to understand that moment was coming. And some guy told him, hey, watch yourself. Hey, when you get there, this is what you have to be looking for. When you hear Jay-Z say things like, I'll show you how to move in a room full of vultures. He was telling us. He knew something's there. That's very different up here. That Dame Dash, didn't fully embrace. Dame Dash is, this is the way we do it where I come from.
Why?
Because you know what it's like.
Why?
Steven, no one.
Why? Who cares? Why? We all here. Why now you want to call a meeting?
Because you know no one needs to sit here and be.
No one is so then get the fuck out. I don't give a fuck. Then get out. This is not about you. We're gonna do something about Jay. We're gonna do it together. All right then, but why you didn't call me? You want to make excuses? You can talk all you want. This is treacherous. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of this shit.
That doesn't work. There's one way to survive red pepper problems, and that is you have to shed yourself from the cooking pot. The cooking pot is a ball and chain to a powerful man. To keep your power, you will have to let go of the cooking pot. If you hold that as a badge of honor, when you make it to the place that you wanted to get to for your entire life, you won't be there long. You will have to let go of that. And that's what Jay-Z did. And that's what separates Jay-Z and Dame Dash. Dame Dash is still cooking pot minded. Jay-Z's not. And that's the reason why the reality turned out very different for the two of them. What do you guys think? I'm RJ Roger. This is Amoral Minds. Leave comments. Give me feedback. I want to know what you guys think. Also, check out the show that I made on Cooking Pot and Made. So that way you have a good understanding of what I'm talking about in this show. So yeah, that's all I got. Check out my book, The Don, 36 Rules of the Bosses. It'll be in stores this year. Please support the book. It breaks all these concepts down in greater detail. So that's all I got. Peace and love, and I'll see you next week.